Yo, what's up, guys? The Insane Game Freak here to bring you Astarotte Toy Episode 2 review. Now, considering the mixed responses got on the first one, because a lot of people were like it literally was kind of pretty even. People were like, "What the fuck are you reviewing an anime about a 10-year-old girl who has to collect semen?" As Master King JC said. And then you had people who were like, "Oh no, this show's pretty cool and shit." I had to, so for people, for just future reference, there was so much debate along with this particular show about me reviewing it and me watching it, period, that I had to go look it up. I ended up, the manga only has like 17 chapters right now, which I was fine with because I didn't really want to blow through it, but I got really curious about how they were going to address the whole, especially because I didn't realize that Asuha is his daughter, and I thought it was his sister, so I went to go check. That is his daughter, which it seems like a lot of you already knew. Technically, anime hasn't told us yet. The anime doesn't tell us until next episode, but I did go look up, and I know virtually everything that should happen in this anime. Then I will tell you right now, they have seriously, the anime cuts down the fan service like a fucking lot compared to what. There are a few scenes that were supposed to happen in this episode that don't take place, and most of them were fan service scenes, except for the one obvious one. The only other thing they took out of the episode I didn't like was they took out the explanation of like the race of people, which I thought would have been something cool. Like in the episode, like in the manga, they were supposed to like explain what Effie's race is. They don't do that in the anime, but it's kind of, it's fine because it kind of just shows that you're not, this series is really not supposed to be that like hardcore and shit. It's supposed to be just a fun romance series. Also, I think someone said it in the comments last week. This, even though the premise is literally her trying to get over her fear of men so she can become a succubus and rape the shit out of them and shit, I think that's just a gag. I don't think that's ever actually going to happen, and it's because of a few things that we learned. Uh, the fact that he's a father would be one. That's another reason. But I will say there is one big mind fuck about him and his daughter that'll probably come somewhere between like episode 6 or 7. We'll probably find the mind fuck. I'm not gonna address any of the spoilers that I do know. There aren't that many. There's maybe one main spoiler that will mind fuck the shit out of you, and that one doesn't come up. Shouldn't come up until the midway through the series. But for right now, let's just talk about episode 2. There's a lot of things that change from the manga. For the first thing is there's a fan service scene with Zelda and Effie that doesn't take place, considering outfits that they don't address, which is fine because honestly it was kind of weird that, yeah, they cut down the fan service a lot. There's also another joke with Asuha that gets mentioned at the beginning of this episode, how she doesn't like to wear underwear. No, that's actually a joke, and people are like, man, that's fucked up. Why did she say that? The manga is so much worse. The manga actually, the manga. Let's put it this way, his daughter and the whole not wearing underwear thing, that's a horror. It's so much, it's worse in the manga than it is the anime. The anime toned that shit down. That was for obvious reasons. Probably because that bill was passed. Which I don't mind because I think it works better. But pretty much, explain the episode because I've been rambling on for 4 minutes about how I feel about the show. I am going to give, it has a nice feel to it. I like the vibe of the show. But anyways, let's keep going. The episode kind of starts out where he's already there and he's drinking tea and he's all calm and shit. And Judith is like, why the fuck are you so calm? It's kind of weird. All this shit is transpired and you seem way too calm about it. Mind you, he doesn't know what the job is yet. He just knows that he's getting paid to do some work there and shit. And then they kind of flash back to explain how. And his so pretty much back to the part where where Judith offers like 500,000. His daughter goes, 700,000, and she's like, shit. Okay, 6. I'll go 6. I'll meet you halfway, 6. And she's like, we'll take it. And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, wait a minute, Ozma. And then she runs off for school, and he's like, put some underwear on. He's like, I got my backpack on. I said underwear, Ozma. And she just runs off. There's gonna be a recurring joke. I don't know how recurring or how bad it's gonna get, but that particular scene didn't get bad because it wasn't like they showed her dress flying up or anything. They were just talking about how she wasn't wearing underwear. which wasn't that bad. I feel like as a father, he should have been a little more concerned. Actually, that does kind of bug me. That's probably the only thing that bugs me is how much he lets her get away with. Well, at least in that department, that's like he's way too chilled out. But then again, he's been through a lot. I'm not gonna talk about that, but that's spoiler material. But anyways, the episode continues, and pretty much he's reintroduced to Princess Lotte, formally, and the first thing she says is, "I request your presence in my room tonight." This is one of the most. Like when I read it in the manga last week, it was the same fuck. I was like, no, what the fuck? But she has an ulterior motive. She's trying to make it so that Judith won't bring up the whole man thing ever again. So that's the ploy that she's trying to go with, and she tells Zelda this, even though Judith doesn't know. It's like Zelda's like her accomplice, even though she's kind of neutral on some level. Anyways, he's kind of just wandering around the palace and everything, and he starts talking to Olaf, and Olaf explains the plot point that actually explains why she's afraid of men. She had a very bad experience. Her mother, also being a succubus, she used to live with her mom. This also explains why she doesn't live with her mom. Her mom promised for them to sleep together, and obviously you know why they haven't, because you know if she's a succubus, she's sucking dick half the time in that room, so you know you don't want your daughter in there. But what happened one night is the night that she was supposed to go sleep with her, the guy, one of her male harem members, decided to walk in there while she was going in there, and she ended up watching him and her consummate. And you know, she wasn't even 10 then. I think she was like, probably she was younger than 10. So you know, watching your mother fuck a dude at that young age would traumatize the fuck out of her. So that's where a hatred of men came from, and that makes perfect sense. It's one of the most, I would say, out of the dumbest things I've seen in anime, this is probably the most justifiable one. She was a little girl. She watched her mother have sex for the first time. She didn't even know what sex was. She was a fucking little kid. And it was just fucked up. So they grew apart and they moved away, and that's why she's the way she is. She's, from what Olaf explained, she's a really nice girl. But she has kind of a fucked up, like, she has like a bit of selfishness and a brattiness because of, I guess, her lack of a parental figure. This is where Naoya comes in, because Naoya kind of decides, maybe I can be that parental figure. In the manga, he says that. In the anime, it's not as clear, as defined anyway. Anyways, he goes up there to bring her something. Apparently, the princess asked for his presence earlier than expected. And what she does is she ends up like dropping milk on him and shit, and saying, "What did you do? Why did you spill the milk? I can go to sleep with my milk. I guess I don't know if I want to mess with you now tonight since you fucked this up." And Judah's like, "Oh, that was your plan?" But now he actually acts like an adult about it and goes, "Well, he is an adult in retrospect." And he's like, "Oh, okay, it was my fault. I'll go get the milk. I'll go get more milk." And that's him being a man, considering the fact that he is a man. I'm not going to tell you his age. We find out later, but I'm not going to tell you his age. But anyways, he goes out to the market to go get more milk. Him and Effie. And Effie goes with him. And apparently, Lotte told Effie not to tell him where they get the milk from, which is kind of funny and kind of obvious in retrospect of where they get the milk from. And it would make sense. All I'm going to say is that Effie is a cowgirl when you look at her. Do I even need to say anything else regarding that? But what happens is that she doesn't trust him because the whole you're just here to have her have sex with you. Is that what it is? Is that all you care about? Is her fucking you and shit? I mean, she's not that blunt about it. She's more like kind of a she's kind of like a Hinata-ish character. I guess a Moe character. I guess that's the word for it. Where she's like really nice and kind and shit. And he explains that she understands that she was lonely and he wants to try to help her with the loneliness. Pretty much, he's trying to become her father figure in some level. And if he likes that, and she's like, "Oh, let's go home," and they go home. But she's like, "Wait, we didn't get the milk." And then one of the other servants named Ku, he's like, "Could you help me for a second?" And he's like, "Wait, what the fuck are you doing? we didn't get the milk. What is she helping you with? And she's like, oh, I'll be done in a second. And then there's this suggestive pose, and he's just like, oh, shit. And he walks outside, and he's just like, and then right at that moment, apparently he gets full bars at this magical land. And he gets a text message from his daughter, and his daughter sent him a text message of her milking a cow. And he's just like, really? It's like, out of all the things you could have texted me, and all the times you could have texted me, you text me this now? Wow, that was crazy. And anyways, the day is almost over, reading around to nighttime, and Lotte is informed of him bringing the milk and all that other shit, and she started having these evil thoughts about him and shit, thinking that he made Effie tell her where the milk is, because I don't even think Lotte knows where the milk comes from, which is even funnier to me. But anyways, she like tells Zelda to be like, cut his head off when he comes in. And then she's like, whoa, he did do what you asked him to do. Isn't that a little much? And it's like, okay, fine. If he tries anything fishy, subdue him. And he's like, oh. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll do that. That works. Anyways, so Elfie and him are talking while they're still in the kitchen and talking. And apparently, this is filler, mind you. I'm not gonna lie, this is technically filler. He does do something nice when he goes up there, but it isn't this. Pretty much in the manga, it's like he goes up there and draws her like this little flip book story of the princess, and she thinks he's stupid and tells him to leave. But in the anime, it's like Effie mentions the fact that she lost a doll when she was younger, so he goes out of his way to remake the doll, and he presents it to her when he goes up there for the service, quote unquote. And then she's like, I don't want the fucking doll. You made it. And he's like, well, I'll make a deal with you. Would you rather spend the night with me, or would you rather spend the night with the doll? And she's like, obviously, I would rather spend the night with the doll. And so she takes the doll, and she goes, all right, too bad. And he leaves. He's not planning the fucker. I want that to be clear. Like, literally, I've read the manga all the way up to the current chapter. He does not have any intention to have sex with her. It is blatantly obvious. I think at a certain point it's going to kind of turn into where she likes him enough, where she's willing, but there's going to have to be I'm assuming there's going to be some type of event that causes her to just think of him as more of a father figure or some shit. Or maybe she'll end up liking him enough to become a father figure and skip the whole succubus bullshit. She's way too fucking young. She's 10 years old. There's no fucking way they're going to put that in a manga. They didn't put that in the manga. There's no way hell they put it in the anime. I'm just saying. That's just me. The vibe the show gives off makes me think they're not going to take it that far. They're not going to take it that far. That's just me. But really, the episode kind of ends with... she kind of takes that toy reference and it goes right, and it kind of full circles to the plot, because when Judith explains his position in full to him, he's regarded as a candidate, but he's also regarded as a toy. Like, she won't put him in the harem position, which is good, because she doesn't fucking need to. But yeah, she's thinking of him as a toy. He accepts the terms, and the next episode preview is when his daughter is formally introduced, instead of like this bullshit introduced where she's around, and she's not kicking the shit. I will say his daughter is fucking awesome. Like, I'm dead serious, his daughter's awesome, but it explains a lot of things about... But in this, from the manga, if they don't... I don't think they're going to deviate from this much. Naya had a fucked up past on some level. It's like really... For whatever reason, he's just really chilled out about it, but I'm going to leave that... I'm sorry this review is so long, but this... I don't know, there's a lot of things going through my mind regarding this show. But the reviews will continue. The shows, I don't think the show's not going to get that bad. And when the show, because the manga doesn't get that bad. The manga is the more raw version. So, until later, that was the gameplay to win. Hope you enjoyed the review. Tell me what your thoughts were on the episode. I'll link the Crunchyroll link to watch it in the description box. I still don't have them. There's a catchphrase I could come up with, but I don't want it right now. I still got to think about it more. I would say, It seems like succubuses just have little toys running around like a harem, but that doesn't work. But oh, whatever. I'll see you guys later.